Hi, my name's Lindsay, and I'm one of the authors of Studio. In this session, I'd like to talk about how we can know when our students are listening or not during an online lesson. Every language teacher who's taught online in a video class has probably been faced with the following situation. Your students are in the room, you think, but they don't have their videos on. And this can be very disconcerting. So you see like a whole black screen full of mini back screens with people's names, and worse yet, maybe like a ghost image of their head. So you don't know if they're there, you don't know if they understand, you don't know if they follow you. And so this can be very disconcerting for a teacher. I think there are good reasons and bad reasons why students might not have their cameras on during an online class. Okay, the bad reason, of course, is that they want to log into the online class, come and see the class, but then be able to do other things, get distracted, watch TV, play a game, talk with somebody else, put their thing on mute, and just leave it. All right, so that's the bad reasons, that they want to get out of class. But there are good reasons. For example, their connection may be so poor that they are not able to sustain a video thing. If they turn their video on, their connection drops. There may be privacy issues if they're logging in from home, or if they're logging in from a place where there's public Wi-Fi, a cafe, a library, or so on. If they're from home, they may have interruptions from family. They may be very self-conscious at that time of how they look or what's in the background, where they are. Finally, there are two other things that have come up during the past year of online video classes, and that's been the idea of Zoom fatigue, of kind of looking at yourself and at everybody else on a Zoom meeting for a long time. Someone described this once as like being in a mirror squared. Yeah, and also that seeing yourself online in an online class can for some cause more anxiety and stress. So those are the good reasons and bad reasons. What could we do about it? We could begin any course by setting our expectations and making those clear. I think some of the reasons why teachers feel disconcerted by this is that they haven't set the rule at the beginning, whether it's cameras on or off, and therefore they're stuck halfway through the course. I didn't say, so is it okay to have them off, have them on, etc. So establish what your norm is going to be for video use and enforce it early on. However, if you are insisting on a video-only presence class, this may be a bit of an inflexible rule. So you may want to have times where during the lesson they do have to turn the video on to say something or check in with you, and other times when it's okay to have it off. But establish this from the beginning. Additionally, if you're not having video as obligatory, you could at least ask them to put a picture of themselves or of something in their profile picture so that you can see that when you're looking at the screen. So it's not just a bunch of black screens. One of the things that I like to do is make a lot of use of the non-verbal tools in many online platforms. These are things like, first of all, the chat box. Secondly, there's sometimes a button called reaction buttons, which have sort of a series of emojis or little illustrations, things like thumbs up, go faster, slower, etc. And some video platforms have a poll that you can make. So I pepper my class with far more of these sorts of checks. I avoid using questions like, do you understand, too much. So here are some alternatives to that. During the class, I might say, everybody give me a thumbs up when you're ready for me to continue. To show me you're ready for me to go on, please write an example in the chat box of the grammar or vocabulary that we just studied. Go. Okay, and then people type things in the chat box, I respond to them. Or I will sometimes prepare certain polls, if my video platform allows it, to pop up at times during my explanation, during my class, to get them to participate. During an online class, you can call on students to respond using just the audio or by typing. So either by doing this by calling on volunteers. Okay, for example, before we do the exercise, I have time for 2 questions. Please raise your hand if you have a question. You kind of monitor who is raising their hand, who is sort of participating at that point. Or let's do an example or an exercise together. The first person who raises the hand is going to get some help from me to do the first one. I also nominate students a lot, and I use names to reply. So for example, Maria, explain what I just said again in your own words for everybody. Igor, here's a question for you, and then I might do a concept question. Finally, one of the things I've done before is prepare a slide with everybody's names on it, divided into groups. And I sometimes display that slide. And then I say, for the next activity, I'm going to be calling on people from group 1. So group 1, they see their names on that slide in the group. Get ready, I'll be calling on you. Okay, and then I will alternate. I won't do group 1, 2, 3, 4. I bounce around. Group 1, group 4, group 3, group 2. Okay, keep using checking and cross-checking across the online class to make sure they're following.